Awesome. Welcome to the episode 2 of the World Wave podcast. Again, my name is Caleb Solomon, and I'm here with my incredible co host, Toyi Morikanya. How's it going, my brother?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you again. Let's do this, episode 2.
Yes, yeah, let's do this again. And I know that, this week has been good, in terms of, for the audience, for the audience, I'm moving to a different location, undisclosed location. So there's been a lot of a movement in my family, and I recently welcomed, my new baby born. So it's been a lot going on, but overall, I think we're excited to be. I appreciate it.
Those are big news. Big news. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Girl dads rock.
Yes,
So
yeah,
certainly.
exactly. So yeah, so thanks a lot, for the support, and again, we are thrilled to have you on this journey with us. And as always, our primary goal here is to educate, enlighten, entertain our audience in technology, economy, and real estate while inspiring you to take action. So today we're going to be flipping the script a bit and dive into our own stories and give you a glimpse into who we are, where we came from, and also what brought us here. So with that, let's just kick things off. Atoyi, by sharing a bit about your background. And the first question would be, what were some of the things that ignited your interest in the intersection of technology, economy, and real estate?
Oof, man, we're starting heavy with the big
Yes.
questions. But I guess right,
Mm-hmm.
that's the intent of today's podcast, sharing a little bit about ourselves. And yeah, I'll go first. It's interesting now, if I reflect back of where I am, kind of this intersection now of in the technology space and real estate, and so focused on business, because honestly, the 7-year-old, 8-year-old me wanted to become a pilot. Believe it or not, I
Mm.
was born in Nigeria, looking up in the
Why
skies.
pilot?
You see airplanes flying, and I'm like, man, like there was a sense of adventure and freedom that I associated with the airplanes. So I figured, hey, the
Mm.
coolest job in the world, the things to want to be, is to become a pilot. You have
Mm-hmm.
that conversation with your African parents, and growing up here. So when it's
Right.
time for college, mom was like, hey, I'm not really sure about this pilot thing, but you know what? You should think about engineering. Okay,
Mm.
fine. So we started to have some conversation. So
Yeah.
instead of becoming a pilot, and also, my parents desired to become an engineer, I kind of blended the two and studied mechanical and aerospace engineering. So my undergraduate degree is on the engineering side. And after college for 5 years, worked as an aerospace engineer. Loved the job. I was
Mm.
building jet engines, walking the shop floor, watching, these machineries come together. Lots of fun. But
Mm.
I think during that time, though, what I noticed was the decision makers at the table
Mm-hmm.
always came from the business side, right? It wasn't necessarily about, hey,
Interesting.
let's build the best jet engine possible, which is important, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But first was, hey, what will the market pay for? What would the customer want? Who will pay for this, right? What is the economy doing? Is this the right time to launch this product?
Yeah.
Those were kind of the key decision makers. And then they told the engineers what to do, and we took our orders and we went ahead and go do it. So that kind of caught me a couple of times, like, oh, wow, okay, well, being an engineer is great, but if you truly want to be a decision maker in this space, you have to be able to have some lens around the business and the technology, right? And what's going on in the
Mm-hmm.
economy.
Yeah.
And that's really when I started to pay attention a little bit more, like, yeah, being an engineer is cool, but you got to understand business and start to focus there. The second one, which I think it's even bigger than just that experience back in my engineering days, was I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert
Oh yeah.
Kiyosaki, which
That's a
I
great
think
book.
a lot of real estate investors, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people swear by this book, and I have to as well. It was such a mindset shift when I read it. I think I read the book now back almost 10 years ago. Read that book, and I still hold it, and I highlighted all over it. But Ralph Waldo Emerson has the quote about, the mind once stretched by a new idea never returns to its original dimensions. And,
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of what that book did, right? It stretched my mind in a different way around, oh, wow, building wealth, financial freedom, leveraging, understanding real estate, becoming a real estate investor, packaging all that up. I think those were kind of the two big things that ignited the interest and how I kind of got here today.
Wow, wow, that's an amazing story. How I mean, your you mentioned that your ultimate goal was becoming a pilot, and
Yeah.
you know, and I think that actually ties into your ultimate goal of, I think, financial freedom, in the sense that pilots kind of have the freedom, or it's like, I don't know how to even phrase it, but it gives the uh, a synopsis of the
Yep.
freedom of flying the sky has that kind of
Right.
freedom feel to it. So
Right.
I see the relationship between you trying to be a pilot and also you having that ability to
Exactly.
kind of like have and not only understand the technical portion of how engineering work, but also let me also understand the business side of it and see
Hmm.
how I could help make decisions. And obviously, so that totally
Absolutely.
makes sense. That totally makes sense.
Absolutely, man.
My story is a little bit different in the sense that just for the audience to know, so I'm the youngest of nine children, born and raised in the city of Tema. So I was born in Tema. It's kind of like the industrialized area in Ghana. It's about roughly, if I could recall, close to a million people. If I'm
Wow.
accurate, I'm not sure, but yeah, three, I'm raised in a middle class family. I'm not going to say that I was something the hood. Everybody wants to claim that you're from the hood, and it sounds like
Nah, it's okay to say
if you're not
you're
from the
rich.
hood,
It's all
you're
right.
not. I was a middle class, close to broke. But anyway, nonetheless, I had a great family that. Or my father or my parents instilled the sense of education is the key to becoming, successful in life. They always instilled upon us. I remember we had Friday meetings, uh, Friday family meetings to for them to say, "Hey, guys, we don't have the money to take care of you, but what we can do is we can give you the financial, we can invest in your education because we know that through education, that is how." Hopefully, in the future, you can come take care of us. So we took our
That's
educating very seriously. I had zero intention of coming to the United States. I remember back in 2008, 2009. I also on my way to becoming a doctor. I mean, I read this book, Gifted Hands by Dr. Ben Carson. So
my
my
sister
goal was
read
to
that
become a
book as well, so she
neurosurgeon.
loved it. Yeah, my
Yes, my
sister
goal
read
was,
that book, so yeah.
hmm yes, my goal was to become a neurosurgeon. Well, so I was on my way to to go into University of Ghana, Legon, to pursue my medicine, course, medicine degree. And then my sister was like, Caleb, you gotta come to America. That is the American dream. There's a lot of great sort of money here, and given your passion for neurosurgeon, I think you need to come here because this is the best of the best. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I ended up, writing the SAT. It was a grueling process. Went to the American embassy, spoke with the guidance counselor. They gave me, she gave me a book, 2,500 college and universities to apply to. I was like, where do I start? Like public school, private, like where do I start? So luckily for me, I was very good. I was very lucky enough to have a sister who went to Georgia Tech University, who gave me a list of 8 universities and colleges to apply to. So of which, Morehouse College was part of it. So I applied to Morehouse and I got into Morehouse College. I did that for 3 years. But during my freshman year, there's one thing with respect to the intersection of technology, economy, real estate.
Right.
There's one thing that ignited. So I remember during my freshman year, I went to University of Notre Dame. No, actually, it was sophomore year Notre Dame for my research, and I read 3 books. It was Rich Dad Poor Dad, as you had
Oh,
mentioned.
you okay?
It
Okay, I'm
really
telling
changed
you.
my
I'm
mindset about
telling
how
you.
wealth works. I was like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
this is how the wealth people make money. Number two was Think and Grow Rich by
Oh yeah.
Napoleon Hill. So and a fantastic book that I read as well. And the other one was How to Win Friends and Influence People. So these 3 books really shaped or redefined my career path, in the sense that after I read these 3 books, I was like, maybe it doesn't make sense for me to become a neurosurgeon. Am I doing it just to get the credibility or just to brag about I'm a neurosurgeon, or am I doing something because I'm passionate about it? And to be quite honest with you, I actually wanted to become a doctor because, as you probably know, to in Africa, there are 3 things you can do: either a doctor, just use the Nigerian term,
Yeah.
doctor, businessman, or a lawyer. Anything else is
They're
secondary.
like, we
They
don't
don't
care.
care. So I thought I was, I guess, pursue my parents' dream and not actually pursue my own dream. So I had to do a sharp pivot. So I
Yeah.
did a degree in chemical engineering. So I finished. So I changed my degree at Morehouse from biology to the dual degree program. So I finished, at Morehouse in 3 years in chemistry, and then I transferred to Columbia University to complete my chemical engineering degree. So
Mm-hmm.
So and through that whole process, I learned a lot about technology. Um, I remember back in those times, there were a lot of startups coming up. There was lots of people, IPOs back in it. I remember
Mhm.
there was this company, I forget the name of the company, but there were some interesting SaaS companies that were going public, minting millionaires overnight. I was like, maybe I need to
Mhm.
look into the technology industry. So I ended up, taking a job at one of the top uh, um, infrastructure companies or SaaS companies in America. I did it for 2.5 years. I worked at two startups in Austin. It
Yeah.
went really well. So that was my foothold into technology.
There you
And
go.
now, through that process, I was learn about the economy. Reading, I have three magazines that I was subscribed to. The Economist magazine. I was reading the Wall Street Journal as
Mhm.
well. Just trying to imbibe and learn a lot about what is happening in the economy, so that I could be abreast with it.
Yeah.
And then through that process, I was trying to figure out what is my passion, what do I want to do that I don't only get to impact people, but also will have the ability to help people to provide not only financial freedom for them through this vehicle, but also for them to uh, uh, be able to enjoy or provide great housing experience for them. So that's where real estate came into place. So not only am I helping customers or potential prospective tenants with great housing for
Mhm.
them, but I'm also
Yeah.
helping potential investors to leverage this vehicle as a means for financial freedom. So this was the intersection that came into being. So it wasn't a straight. I mean, life is not a straight path. It
No, not at
is
all.
always goes. It's meandering, but all you have to follow whatever is in your heart and
Yeah.
just stick to your gut and just
What
move forward.
what a great journey, man. Okay,
Yeah,
from Ghana to Morehouse to Columbia University, you've got 2 degrees in like 5 years. I'm like, man, this man is
yeah,
smart, and that's why I'm glad to have you as a partner here. So, what a journey.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. So I think that has already sparked our interest and believe that all this the technology, economy, real estate, all weaves together. And our goal here is to share some of we are not saying that we are the expert, but one thing we know is that we have great, strong opinions that would like to
Absolutely.
communicate to the audience about what we think about the economy and how you can uh, leverage our viewpoints
Right,
in
and
your
it's
daily
informed
life.
opinion, right? I mean,
Yes,
you know
informed.
what? Close to a decade, both here, and we've had such winding career interests, right? You talk about kind of how you've pivoted a couple of times, and how I've done the same from an engineer to the business side, now also into the real estate world, and what I'm seeing, what I'm reacting to, what I'm, as I'm trying to set myself up, my family up, my friends, right, as we continue to grow. And I think that's a great perspective, as well as kind of your lenses and what you get to see in the field as you're navigating through different parts of kind of taking care of your family and setting yourself up well. So absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So, Toy, I mean, I think you talked about your career, your life story, and your career journey through to where you are today
Mhm.
as a co-founder of Jera Capital. Can you tell me a pivotal moment in the career journey that that led you to where you are today?
Pivotal moments.
Mm-hmm.
Oof, man. You said something there that life is not a kind of linear path. It's
Mm-hmm.
always moments where, right, things work out in different ways. And I'm sure some of the listeners might be thinking and resonating to this as well, where you have a vision of where it is that you want to go, and you might plan out how you think it's going to go, and it rarely ever goes that way, right?
Yeah.
You constantly find yourself navigating in different parts. One moment that I would say came to mind, which is quite interesting, is my move to Dallas, Texas in
Mm.
2018, which is now, over,
Yeah.
5.5 years now I've been in Dallas. Because without that move, Jarrett Capital might not have existed. You and I won't
Yes.
be here today as business partners. Like, I don't even know
Exactly.
where life would have taken me. So if I go back to 20, so as I shared, right, I started to think about how do I move more on the business side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, you have an engineer, mechanical and aerospace engineering background. I wanted to get into the business space, go back. So I went back to grad school. I went to UConn, go Huskies, right, and
Yep.
studied, got my MBA in finance and strategy. Coming out, I'm thinking, okay, where do I go? I want to move out of Connecticut. Where are the opportunities going to come? I had two job offers. One was a job offer to come work for a company out in Charlotte, North Carolina. and another was to come work for a company here in Dallas, Texas. So
Mm-hmm.
and the one in Charlotte, Texas actually paid me more money
Wow.
than the one in Dallas, Texas. So I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
juggling those two things. But well, weirdly enough, 2010, if I go back even a bit further, 2010, I came, I visited, I think it's 2010 or 2012. It might be 2012. I visited Dallas for the first time. And there was something about coming to Dallas in 2012 with a couple of my buddies here. For the first time, I landed. I saw the land. Everything was open. And something in my mind just said, this is your land of opportunity. This is where you're going to make it. So that was always, I guess, back in my mind. So when the opportunity then presents itself 6, 7 years later, how long it was, and now I get the offer of, hey, Dallas, Texas on the table, or Charlotte, North Carolina. I picked Dallas, Texas, and that's been maybe a key pivotal moment, which has been maybe one of the best decisions I've ever made. Because now, right, you open up the door for my continued career growth, getting a chance to then meet you, and then
Mm-hmm.
right now what
Mm-hmm.
we've done in Jarrett Capital, and now right the properties we've bought, and our vision, and now we're here on the Wealth Wave podcast. So if I never move down here, I don't know where I'll be. I'll be somewhere in Charlotte, North Carolina, or somewhere else. Who knows?
Yeah, well, that's an amazing story. It's crazy how when we are a function of our decisions that we make, and one decision can definitely change your life. And I think, like you mentioned, if you were in North Carolina, I'm not sure where you're going to be at today. We don't know, but I'm glad that you came to Dallas, Texas, because that actually weaves into, I'll say, my pivotal moment in my career as well, which is, I think, for me, I mean, I have a couple of events. I call them events
Yeah.
that I'll say that shaped my career journey to where I'm today. Obviously, the first was having faith, writing the SAT, being diligent and being persistent, and getting to college in America. That in of itself is a huge feat because a lot of people apply, nobody gets in. So I'll
Yeah.
probably say that's one
Listen.
event. The other event was, I would say, going to Morehouse College was definitely a great decision because not only did I get to meet people who look like me, but I was able to truly understand how the American system work, in
Yeah.
terms of understanding how to move and how to relate to people. And that's then also understanding the American culture and all that stuff. So that was another moment as well. The other moment was around, obviously, probably say Columbia University. Going there was a unique experience because it's
Right.
mostly predominantly historically white university
Oh, absolutely.
versus
Still is.
Morehouse
Yeah.
historically black. So having those two perspectives really shaped the world or my mindset about, okay, how do I approach this thing called life? But all of this, I would say the pivotal moment that really shaped my life was when I attended the conference. That was, again, it all happened during my sophomore year at Morehouse
Yeah.
College. It was me and one of my besties, Emmanuel Peterson, went to a
Oh, nice.
Rebecca Kiyosaki real estate conference in
Oh,
Atlanta,
you
Georgia.
did.
And I have a
Okay. Oh, I
picture
didn't
there.
know that.
And hopefully, yeah, we can throw the picture in here, so you can see,
Once you find it, okay.
see my. But I think it was what I actually knew that, okay, I think I can do the. I'm actually loving this thing called real estate because
Yeah.
sometimes you get to see all these buildings and you get to see all these commercial buildings or apartment units, and I'm realizing, so who owns this stuff? And going to that conference, not only did they communicate the power of, I think the four quadrants. We have the ESBI kind of quadrant, and your
Mm-hmm.
goals become the investor.
Right.
I mean, I think Robert communicated the value of being an investor and how real estate is not
Help support that.
complicated. So that really was like, that is interesting. So I read a lot of books. Me and my partner, we read a lot of books about real estate. So I
Yeah.
think that was the pivotal moment, and that was actually shaped. Obviously, I couldn't get a chance to, do any investment because I
Right
was
the
in
time.
college. I was doing an engineering degree, but after college, and obviously, coming to Dallas, Texas, and
Yeah.
through mutual friends, getting connected, I was like, okay, it's time for us to move. So I would say that was the pivotal moment. Going to that conference really
Yeah. But isn't that interesting,
solidified
right?
it.
Like how, and I think that's one of the key message here for folks to know, like wherever it is that we are all on our journey, all you have to keep doing is just planting the seed, right? Like in
Planting
your
the
mind,
seeds.
it might not, right? It might not show results immediately, right? I came to Dallas for the first time in 2012, and I'm like, hey, I really want to move here. I thought I was doing that right after college. I didn't end up doing that for another 6, 7 years later.
Mm-hmm.
You went to this conference and planted the idea around, hey, I want to be an investor. I want to be a business owner.
Yes.
I'm in college right now. I maybe not be making that move right now, but those ideas are being planted. And so it's not surprising when 5, 7, 10 years later, you're now in the space that you're in, right? So it's great to see how that connected. But I also
Mm-hmm.
want to ask a different question around
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
one of your pivotal moments that you mentioned is right your two college experiences.
Yes.
Morehouse College, which right historically black college, Martin Luther King graduated there, right?
Spike Lee,
Very well
a
regarded
lot of
university.
actors. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you and right after that you also have the Columbia University experience, right, which is
Mm-hmm.
Ivy League, well respected brand. You've got those two great experiences with you, but there is a big debate that's going on now in the environment
Yeah.
that we are in around should you go to college or not, right? Hey,
Yes.
a lot of people are having this conversation.
They are.
Student loans and colleges, what tuition are costing. This is along the path around. If I'm navigating myself, I'm navigating my world, should I be thinking about going to college? So you got a 22-year-old. What is your thoughts on this take this day?
I mean, that is a great question. It's a great debate going on. Is does education make sense? That is going to college a critical component to becoming successful in life? Because again, working backward from the ultimate goal is the ultimate goal. I guess let's work backwards. What is the goal for the individual life? Is your goal trying to becoming rich? Is your goal being attaining being financially free? Is your goal trying to become like trying to refine your skill set for a
Mhm.
particular a goal like a doctor or a lawyer? So I think it's a nuanced question, and I'll say it depends. So for
Yeah.
example, I think for me, I think the purpose for education or for college is to refine your skill set for whatever your purpose in life is.
Hmm.
Go to college to refine your skills. Don't go to college to find whatever purpose in life is. That's a big mistake. You go to college to refine the skill set for your purpose. For example, if you know after a newborn coming up right now, my goal is to study her and figure out what her gifts are,
Right.
and based on the gift, she's not going to study history. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No.
Unless maybe okay, maybe I'll take a step back. Unless if she's let's say for example, um she's somebody who is just interested in history and stuff like that. She
Right.
can do that because maybe at that time I might have enough money to to bankroll
Do
that. But
whatever.
if
Right. Doesn't matter.
I'm not really, if you're a family and you're and you are not actually let's say your family is not really that wealthy, maybe taking the
Right.
going the history one is not a good idea. Maybe taking a degree in art history. Let again,
Might
no
not be worth
disrespect to
it.
anyone with the literature or whatever. I understand you did it because you're passionate about it, but at the same time, you have to follow the money before you follow the passion. So it's a
Very true.
nuanced question, but the foundational pieces is this: what are you going to university for, or why are you going to college? If you're going to become a doctor, yes, you need to go to college. If you want to become a lawyer, yes, you need to go to college,
Definitely.
because there's certain certifications or
You need.
certain accreditation that you need to practice that. But if you want to become a business owner, a real estate person, you want to start something in business, you don't necessarily need a degree. However,
Right.
there might be some skill sets that you may need certification around, how to understand a financial statement, how to really balance stuff like that. So that is it's quite a nuanced answer to the question.
Absolutely. Like you have to do a cost benefit analysis when you're going to
Yes.
college, especially with where tuition is today. For me, absolutely. For my journey where I was at the time, absolutely going to college made absolute sense. It was the only way for my path, right? Like education is important, but I went to school and I studied mechanical and aerospace engineering. So
Mm-hmm.
you have which gives you kind of a very hard skill set in some ways that then prepare you right for a good employment post college. But you have to do the numbers. If I'm going to go to college for 4 years and spend these days 200, 250, and the degree that I'm going to get when I look at the employment perspective and the financial compensation that goes along with
Mm-hmm.
that in the workforce, like if those are not aligned, then maybe college is not the best route, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what people. It's still, yeah, you have to do part of that math equation. Like you can't go to college and go take $200,000-300,000 in student debt, knowing that the profession
Yeah.
and the degree that you're getting is going to be worth $40,000 a year afterwards. Like, that just does not make any sense, and that is bad. That is bad decision on your part if you go do that. So
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, you have to look at what's my employment perspective. Two, though, but I also think I agree. Like there are some skill set where entertainment being one, art, certain a certain skill set, basketball players, like the basketball players, LeBron is great. I mean, especially when we're your
With or
prime,
without. Mm-hmm.
with or without college, in my prime and my gift needs, I need to start playing professional now because my career longevity is only up to about 35, 36. And if I'm lucky, it's 40. So I need to get into the workforce to start making money early. Absolutely, those cases.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are in a situation where you're not going to college because you want to avoid the work, and as a path to just being lazy, because sometimes people do throw out the number. Oh man, look at Steve Jobs; he didn't go to college, or he dropped out, and Warren, Bill Gates, he dropped out. Sure, and that is true, but sometimes that's also an anomaly. So each of us has to look at your skill set and say, hey, what is it exactly that I'm trying to get out of here, to your point? And then what's the cost benefit? For me, it made sense. Like, I went to college, got a hard
Yep.
degree, and the employment perspective was awesome. So that paid off well. It might not be the same way for other people. So it's yeah, case by case basis. But naturally, I am gonna look to steer my daughter or son, along that path of what makes sense, and we can make that decision together.
Yeah. And also I like to still mind the other side, though, the other side who will be arguing for pro education. Well, they'll say, okay, Caleb, I understand your point. It depends. But what if, let's say, my son who loves basketball, his skill set doesn't get into the NBA? Then what do I do? That's a
Yeah,
great point because I think less than 1% of athletes in America get into the NBA. Is very, very competitive, very thin, and about 90% of small
yeah,
businesses fail after 3 years, I
yeah.
think. So, so education is a good thing. I see that as a means to an end, as a backup plan. If it doesn't work, at least you have a degree to get a
Mm.
job at McDonald's or wherever you want to get. But
But okay, but
go
see, you
ahead.
can't have a degree and go to McDonald's. We're not
I mean,
saying
not
what I mean. We're not
like
against
corporate
education.
McDonald's. No.
Oh, okay. We're not anti-education, right? Education comes in so many different forms.
Hmm.
We're really talking about the college degree itself, right? And
Yeah,
and you can go to college and have a backup plan, but when you're into college, you're very mindful about the classes that you're taking and the major and the degree that you're
the
trying
major
to
take.
get, because it is serving as a backup. You
Hmm.
can't go there, be
Hmm.
all willy nilly, and the degree that you're getting has really zero employment prospect, and now you're complaining about how expensive college is and how it didn't pay off. I think that's my thing. But yeah,
Yeah,
you,
no, I agree, and I think there's been a lot of people who have had regrets taking, majors in, again, not to basket weaving and those kind of degrees. So, but I get it. So you're gonna have some regrets, but at the end of the day, I think
yeah,
going to college, or I call it education, because college today is now is not even education anymore. It's more of indoctrination, mostly I mean, college professors
doctrine with own
indoctrinated
ideas, right?
based on their own ideas and philosophies. But I think at the end of the day, you go to college, number one, to build relationships. I'm going to advise anybody who's in the process of applying for college or is thinking about going to college. Remember, I would say 60-40 rule. 60% of your time, I'm going to say it again, focus 60% of your time building relations with people who will be doing some things in the future.
Absolutely,
I think
absolutely.
my biggest mistake that I made when I went to Morehouse College and even Columbia University was I spent 90% of my time in the library grinding my what off, and 10% building relationship. That was the biggest mistake, because life is about relationship. The next generation of leaders are going to be your friends. And if they don't know who you are, if they don't have some form of relation with you, you might not get that
Yeah,
connection that you need.
absolutely.
So I think college is a good thing to build relationships, number one, and number two, find some great topics that you're passionate about learning. If you think you want to do literature or basket, go ahead and do it, but don't use that as a means to get in a job. It's not going to work
Yeah.
unless you can leverage some skill set from problem solving. You are articulating in your interview process and say, hey, I think I was able to leverage this basket weaving to solve problems X, and you can convince the interviewer, then great. But I think you need to pick courses, as you mentioned, pick courses that are relevant to the current market. I think right now everybody's talking about AI, ML. So it's a no-brainer. Study computer science is one of
Yeah,
the
go learn
great
it.
things you can do. You can obviously do some math. Math is you need to know how to count. I mean, that's a normal thing. So, and English, learning how to articulate yourself, maybe public speaking as well. There are some soft skills
Good
that make
skills.
sense, but not all soft skills
I
are
agree.
relevant. So,
I
yeah,
agree.
so it's definitely a great question that you asked, Eve. And speaking
Yeah.
about that, I mean, we have a lot of experiences that we've had throughout our career, on our lives. And can you share with our listeners any standard achievement or accolades that you're particularly proud of that you'd like our listeners to know about?
Achievements, accolades. There's been a
Mm-hmm.
lot, but in the interest of kind of talking about, I'll
Mm-hmm.
actually talk here about Jara Capital, right? And
Mm-hmm.
kind of our goal of building this real estate investment firm that we continue to do. One moment, I guess, for me that stand out most that I'm actually it. I mean, some people might say it's not an accolade, it's not an achievement, but I would say for
Right.
us or for me and you is
Mm-hmm.
when we secured our first two long-term tenants. I thought like, wow, okay, hey, that showed to me. I think it really represent progress
Yes.
and kind of our willingness to take the leap. We had this idea when you and I got, when you and I were introduced, and we built and we continued. We built on it, right? We bought the property, and now we learned marketing. We learned
Mm-hmm.
right
Yeah.
tenant managing,
End
kind of
to
tenant
end.
portfolio background, all this stuff. And then it came to a day where, right, we were able to get those two long-term tenants. And then the first of the month hit, and I looked in our business bank account, and right, and you saw the rental income come in. I'm like, wow, okay, hey, right, we're making progress here. So I think that this, I stood out to me the most so far, and just kind of recent memory of like, we're making progress here, in the real estate side of things. So I'm actually quite excited about that. I think it set us up well, give us a bit more confidence in our experience and expertise, and being able to say, hey, we've done it, and
Mm-hmm.
now that I know I've done it, I know I can do it again, and I can help others people along their journey as well.
Yeah, and I agree. I think, given that we started this about 2 years ago, right, 2021, and the pace at which we moved, not only acquiring the property, but looking for tenant, finding tenant, defining the tenant profile, vetting the tenants, and now we have close
Yeah.
to 90% of our occupancy rate.
Yep.
Is very, very amazing. So I think it's definitely a great thing that you talked about. One thing that I like to add to from a Jara Capital perspective is, I think, being admitted to Project REAP, I think was
Yeah.
about, was it 15% of the acceptance rate, or less
Yeah.
than
It was
50%?
quite
I
quite
don't
yeah,
remember the
quite
amount, but it was
low.
quite, yeah, yeah, very, 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 very competitive to get in. So just getting in there, meeting up with, C-suite executive in the real estate industry, communicating the value of how they run their business, not only from the commercial side of it, but from the residential side, meeting up with executives, having lunch and learn sessions with them, I think has been very, very. I think that's one of, I mean, in terms of achievements, it might not be an
Yeah.
accolade, but achievement, for us, or in terms of milestone,
Right,
it's been
right.
very, very good for us. So I want to,
And I think it
add
touch
that to
up
it.
just quickly, right? You also touch up to your point around the key importance of relationship building,
Mm-hmm.
right? And anyone who's in real estate or any kind of business in the world knows like everything is all about the people that you know, the relationship that you build. And that's one of my favorite thing about being part of that project REAP, not just the educational part, but really more, right, the relationship building, where we want to go meet one of the CEOs here he based here in Dallas, and we got a chance to just sit with him for a good 30, 45 minutes and learn his journey, and being able to build that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a good one.
Yeah, yeah, and then I think we've met, like I mentioned, we've met a lot of great investors in the real estate industry verticals, and I think leveraging some of their tutelage, we should be able to, leverage some of the advice in
Mhm.
terms of investing
Yeah, no,
through us.
absolutely.
I wanted to mention one thing. I'm not sure if I need to say it, but I'm not sure for a bit of an audience. So I'm also a member of the Phi Beta Kappa Society, which is kind of like
Yeah.
the highest honors you can give for students. And I got it when I was in Morehouse College. think 3.9 GP and above. So, or
There we go.
around over 3 point. Yeah. So it's something I'm proud of. I try not to brag about.
No,
I hate bragging on myself, but
that's not
needless to say,
bragging. That's not bragging. That
so
is you're
yeah,
speaking facts. So hey,
yeah.
let people know. So, was the requirement to get in, to
No,
get
so
that honors?
yes, I think if I recall, that I'm not sure whether they've made some changes today, but I believe it was over 3.8 or 3.9
Okay,
GPA
there you go.
after 3 years. So yeah, so
And you weren't
I
taking
got
easy
in, and
classes. This is not like
it's
taking
an
art. I
interest.
mean, no disrespect to anyone, but like this is not like taking art classes and just
Yeah,
right
it's definitely
psychology. No disrespect to psychology, right? But we're not talking easy classes. You were talking taking some real hard engineering math
yeah
classes. So that is huge. Congrats to
engineering.
you and great work, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, a lot of chemistry and differential equations. But overall, I think it was good because through this network, not only do you get to meet people who are like minded, or it gives us the opportunity to expand our network, right?
Right.
And then reach out to folks who might be interested in investing. Because typically in this kind of class, they're mostly the middle working class, doctors, lawyers. They're not really
Mhm.
fond of investing, so we can leverage this avenue or to build some relationship in this vertical and see how we can help them
Yeah,
attain financial freedom.
my man
So
was grinding in college. My man was
I
grinding. You were
try to,
grinding. That's
I
a.
tried.
I wonder how much time. I wish we could have like a
Yeah, another
pie
forecast.
chart of like how much time you spent in the library versus everything else, right? And
Oh
like,
my
uh,
goodness! I mean, can you believe that? My first day with my wife was in the library. Like, it's
those
just
in the library.
ridiculous.
Listen,
It's in the
if that's not
library.
a
Like, it's.
sign of a nerd, but that's also a sign of a
I
man
mean,
that's determined, right?
yeah, but again, I'm not gonna. You know, there's not advice to any guy dating. You need to understand who your woman is. My woman was found out to be kind of cute. So, but not every woman want to go to the library for a first date. So
Not for a first
don't
date.
take my
So,
advice.
but
Don't
you know
take
what?
my
That's a good
advice.
sign, though. That's a good sign. Like that's a good story that you guys get to tell now, right? Years and years later, of our first date was in the library. But if that's not a sign of a man that's driven, that's committed, that gets things done, that knows where he's going, I don't know what is. So I see that as a positive. Okay, I see that as a positive.
Yeah,
So great work,
yeah, I
brother. Great
appreciate
work.
it. Yeah. So I mean, so speaking about that, I'd like to also learn about some of your hobbies, favorite
Yeah.
hobbies, and in the spirit of trying to
Ye-
communicate to our audience who we are.
Yeah, hobbies. I feel like kind of core. Early on, I kind of started about the desire to want to become a pilot growing up, and
Mm-hmm.
how right the theme or the desire there's always around adventure and freedom is kind of core. So I think two things that I enjoy these days more than ever is travel. Right, like I
Yeah.
love traveling. Just something about seeing new places, seeing new things, new experiences, getting to meet new folks. That is always exciting. So anytime I'm on a plane, I'm going somewhere, I'm traveling, whether it's here and right, whether it's local, just local weekend drives, or even just flights and family vacations, or personal trips. Travel is always important for me. Two, right, is watching sports. One of my favorite things to do on a Sunday is I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. So I don't think you guys. I think you could see the my little teddy bear at the
Nice.
top right there with the
Yeah.
Cowboys sitting on that. So
I see that.
this is a Dallas Cowboys household. All right, we're everything Dallas Cowboys. And so I'm excited about that. We've got a big game tomorrow against the
Yes, big one.
Eagles. So I'll be
It's a
watching
big
that
one.
closely. But I'm watching sports on the weekend, so I'm all things basketball, all things football, reading sometimes. But yeah, either I'm traveling, I'm out, or catching up on sports. Is I think my favorite ways to spend my time these days.
Yeah, nice, nice. So I think you had mentioned travel. What do you have any favorite vacation spots, or through your travel experience?
Yeah.
Where would you say maybe top two or top three spots you visited
Top
so far?
two and top two. Oh, one that easily jumps out is Barcelona. Oh my goodness,
Barcelona.
I've
Wow.
been to Barcelona now twice. The food is amazing, the architecture, the culture, the history. I've loved kind of spending time in Barcelona. So I've been to Barcelona twice. I'm trying to go a third and a fourth. it's weird enough because sometimes I'm the kind of person I don't always like visiting the same place
The
twice
same
or
place
three.
twice.
There's too many places in
Same
the
here.
world. Like, how do we? Let's go see more places.
Yes.
But I happen to go. First time I went to Barcelona was for work. Second time was for fun, and I loved it and love it even more. That I love to go for a third time. The second place, that's top two, would be Saint Martin. If you've never
Mm.
been,
St. Martin.
listen,
Okay, I
Saint
gotta check
Martin
that
is
out.
amazing. I had a great time. Went down there with me and the wife went down there, and we just had a great time. I think that was for our baby moon. For our baby moon, and we loved it. The weather was nice. The water was warm. Beautiful place to visit. It's another
Hmm.
vacation spot that typically I say I wouldn't go twice, but I'll do this one again twice. So
Yeah,
my
that's
top two.
awesome. That's good. That's good. Well, speaking about my hobbies, I'm not sure if I classify them as hobbies, but I I'll probably say top two or three. So number one is I like staying at home a lot. I'm not
Hmm.
really out and about. I don't like going out, and I barely. I don't know. I like to keep to myself, do my thing. So I'm always on YouTube, just consuming content from whether
Right.
politics or business, CNBC or Bloomberg News, or sometimes dabble into some entertainment,
Yeah.
news and stuff like that. So I'm always consuming information via podcasts as well.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm always consuming knowledge. So that's what I'm not sure if that's a hobby, but that's what I like to do. Number two,
Hey,
it's
that's what you
I
do in your
like
free
talking to
time. Yeah.
people. Number two, I truly love talking to people, like friends, family. I can call a friend that I've not spoken to for about a week or two, and be talking for 2 straight hours, just
Yeah.
on just I don't know, any topic that comes to mind. Whether how things going with family, then we jump into another topic of the economy, jump into. So I love engaging in conversation. That really, I don't know. It excites me, makes me happy. I don't know.
That's good.
Maybe that's just what I like to do. I like to do that as well. And I would say finally, what do I like to do? I mean, I'll probably, I'll probably say I like to um, travel,
Yeah.
but not traveling to, like, people just travel to go hike and stuff. People are
Yeah.
travel, or people travel to go see their art Mona Lisa. No, that's not kind of my travel. I just like to travel to go see friends. That's my kind of travel.
Okay.
Or if I have a
Okay.
friends in Barcelona, oh, I'm coming to come see you. Then we
See you
go
right.
out, to the bar, go have a good time, or go,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Not necessarily traveling to go see botanical gardens or
Yeah. Nah,
aquarium.
listen,
No.
those are quite trips. But Caleb, right? Isn't that interesting though?
Mhm.
How like which is you have a great combination of you want to keep to yourself, which could be one could say, "Yeah, that's introverted," but then you're a people person and you're very
Yeah.
social. So like, how do you
Yes.
balance the both? Where you're like, oh yeah,
That's a good.
for other people, like, hey, I keep to myself, so I only have like one or two friends. But not you, right? Like you've built such great network. You get along with people well. You're very social. I could drop you in the middle of anywhere, and I know you come out making friends. So I don't know how you balance both two out.
Uh, I'll say okay. Let me rephrase. I don't think if you drop. I'm just gonna be honest,
Yeah.
uh, with my audience. I'm not the kind of guy
Yeah.
who you can drop out in the island or whatever and I can make friends easily. But if I know somebody, yes. Like one thing about me is that
Mm.
if I have a relationship with you, I'm truly
Right.
invested. I'm not those kind of people
Right.
who just reach out when I'm in need. Oh, can you help me with this? Did I get? No, no, no. That's not me. I'm checking in. I remember back in the day, or a year ago, I used to have a list of people that I call every Sunday. So every Sunday
Right.
from 2 to 4, I'm making calls to friends that I want to stay in touch with. So that is me. So people that I already know, yes. No, like making new friends is quite difficult for me. But once
Right.
I get to know you, I'm all in. Like
The
checking out,
friendship
how's it
was
going, my
on.
brother? Yeah. So that is, I guess that is who I am. But yeah.
No,
So
and
those are
it makes sense,
my
and right,
three
I think it
hobbies.
also just gets to the core of who you are. But I think also kind of part of why we have such great friendship here is there's people who pursue like money's great, accolades is great,
Mm-hmm.
achievement is great, but there's nothing more, I guess, impactful and meaningful than just having meaningful connection with people, right? Like that's really at the core of everything. Maybe that's why, right, we started. That's why part of why we started Jarrah Capital. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not just I want to do well in my own little bubble It's, hey, how do I do well, but also have a community of people around us, right? That
Yes.
we're feeding into each other's growth along the path. Hey, Caleb, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Hey, Toyib, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And right, and that's got to be genuine to who you are as a person. Hey, there's somebody who care
Yes.
about other people. They're not just out for their own self, on their own selfish gains, because that's short term
Mm-hmm.
thinking, right? But to really build
Yes.
long term success and meaningful relationships, it's about taking care of people, caring about other people, and I think you have that in great quantity. So I'm
Yeah.
not surprised that that's part of your hobby.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just like talking to people that who have different, and also not talking to people who I agree with. I like talking to people who I disagree with, because at the end of the day, knowledge is not in one person's mind. You have to be willing to be
Absolutely.
malleable. I call it strong opinions loosely held, where you can be able to challenge. And it's all about, hey, let's get better. Let's challenge each other to greatness. We're here to learn. So, and yeah, so that's how I typically, like to
Makes
approach
sense.
my relationship. And speaking about that, in terms of learning from each other, I think we decided to start this Wealth Wave podcast for a particular reason. But if you could want to double click on the ultimate goal for us to eat, what is the goal for this podcast, and how can we help our audience?
Yes. I'll share it, right. My ultimate goal is for us, which is a term that you always use, is for us to be a trusted advisor, right? We want
Yes.
to be, I hope our platform can be kind of where people are happy to listen in, because these are guys who are not just speaking, these are guys who are in the field, these are guys who are still navigating their journey, and they're sharing what they're seeing while also bringing knowledgeable folks on to come share, right, their experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully along
Yes.
this journey, we're able to build a strong community of like-minded folks who are navigating, right, their own financial freedom. How do they manage some of their wealth? How do they build meaningful relationships at the workplace, or right in their own personal lives? And right, we're a place where they can, hey, I want to hear somebody else's advice. I want to hear somebody else's journey. That what the Wealth Wave podcast becomes that way for you, right? To listen to these two guys who are navigating their journey, who are open-minded, who are sharing their real authentic experiences and bringing other people along, because we're not just gonna have our just me and you up here. We're gonna bring some of the other folks that we know, right, that we're tapping into, leveraging out network, and getting them a platform where they can share their message out, and hopefully other people are gonna really find it extremely valuable and impactful as they're navigating their journey, financial freedom, wealth, and kind of ultimate
Mm-hmm.
personal and professional success.
Yeah, I agree. I think you actually articulated it extremely well. And maybe if I want to add additional footnotes to what you had mentioned, I think we also want to make it fun as well. We want to
Absolutely.
you to view this podcast as a place for you to not only be educated about what is happening in the economy, real estate, and technology fields or industry verticals, but also finding as a medium through which you can de-stress. Like if you're going for a walk, you're working out, or I mean, let's be quite, to be quite honest, if you're going to bed, you like to, want to hear something about what is happening. Hopefully, this could be your platform where you can tune in and listen to what we have to offer, and hopefully, you can get some insights for how you can, use some of our nuggets um, to apply to your life. So that is what I wanted to add to. I think, I mean, our goal here is again to, to educate you about what is happening, and hopefully, you can leverage that in your
Absolutely,
daily
man.
lives.
Absolutely. I love entertainment is important, right? We all can learn a
Hmm.
lot while having fun and being playful.
Having
So
fun.
that's something that we
Yes.
all definitely want to bring in, because I love to have fun while doing great things. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And also, just to reiterate to the audience, this is going to be a three-pronged approach. So, the first podcast, we're going to have a weekly podcast. We're going to be talking about, as we had mentioned, economy, real estate, and technology. Also, we're going to number two will be we're going to have industry experts, not an expert like industry titans who have been in the game for over 20 years, whether in real estate or any other industry. We're going to interview them about what is happening, about
Yeah.
their life story, and share some nuggets from that. And then lastly, we're going to be having a talks where we're going to be explaining some basic concepts
Yeah.
about real estate investing. So these are the three main. So stay tuned on that. We'll let you know. We'll definitely share some marketing documents to inform the audience about when these topics will be coming online.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I think, yeah. So with that, I wanted to end. end this, or not end the podcast, but conclude this podcast with, do we have, is there any one particular advice that you like to give to our listeners to Eve as they navigate their own journeys in the realm of technology, economy, and also real estate? Any one piece of advice you'd like to share with them?
Y- Yeah. I guess one advice is just embrace the small beginnings, right? Just find a way to get started. I think, overall for us, it's how do you just take a step in front of another, and ultimately then when you look back, you realize that, man, you've traveled quite a journey, right? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And I think that's
Yep.
something that I'm trying to embrace. Whatever your ambition is, it could be 1,000 units, 10,000 units, like we've shared. It could be to become, a CEO, $10 billion. Whatever that goal is, how do each of us every day make that one step, just one step every day, and be consistent?
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, over a long time, in over 10 years, 15, 20 years, you're like, wow, I've traveled, quite a journey. I was just on Instagram, I think about a week ago. I was following one of the real estate professionals pages, and I think today the guy and his business partner owns 7,000 units or so. And I think I sent
Yeah.
that profile to you. And they
Mm-hmm.
started with a triplex. They started with a triplex
Yes.
10 years ago. So many people, hey, I look at Drake today, and now, right, he's big name headline guy. I remember when he was on Degrassi and just dropped his first album, first mixtape, and people are like, hey, who is this guy? I remember when J. Cole came to Rutgers University back in my undergrad days. He was like the
Mm-hmm.
opening act for Talib Kweli.
Yeah.
Not, and he was outside. Not many people were out there, by the way. Like, I was so up close and personal watching this guy sing. I'm like, oh, okay, J. Cole, that's cool. And now I'm paying $300, $400, $500 to go see him fill out the
Yes.
stadiums out in Washington D.C. with a couple of my buddies. So
Mm-hmm.
at the end that we all have to start somewhere. Start wherever you can, and look for ways to make progress along the way while having
Yeah.
fun, which is important.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's definitely well said. I mean, things take time, uh, and the seed, when the seed is planted into the soil, it takes time for you to see the roots, then you see the branches, then the fruits. So,
Yeah,
obviously, greatness takes time. All you have to do is to keep, watering the seed on a consistent basis, and definitely going to see the results, if not
absolutely.
sooner, definitely later. But I wanted to, from my perspective, and an advice I'd like to give to the audience is, I've been thinking about what advice. I mean, what can I communicate to the audience? I think one thing I'd like to say is this: if there's anyone who is is looking to um, become whatever they want to become, I'm not sure what your goals and your objectives are. It's very critical that you have that goal on a paper.
Mhm.
Write down whatever your mission statement is in life is. Put it on paper and put some timelines to it. It's amazing how the universe will just align in bringing you to the right people to help shape that vision.
Yes.
So while you're stating, I mean, you're listening to a podcast and the economy, technology, and real estate. Maybe real estate might not be the avenue for you. Maybe economy could be the avenue. If you're looking to start a business, we're going to be educating people on how to start a business, stuff like that. Maybe you might want to focus your time on those particular segments. Or if you want to talk about technology, you want to build a startup company, we're going to dabble into those topics as well. So the advice is um, for any listener listening to this podcast, write down the mission statement for your life, and then come up with a plan of action.
Absolutely.
And make sure that you see to it, consistently water that seed, and I believe that I would definitely be successful. And hopefully, listen to our podcast could be a way for you to be watering that seed,
Yep.
for you to achieve your ultimate goal, whether it's financial freedom for you, whether it's become whatever you want to become in the future. Hopefully, this podcast could be an avenue through which you can accomplish your purpose.
Well said, brother. That's a big one. That's a big one. I've got a journal, and I've got pictures and written words and
Yes.
timeline. I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
it. I know a lot of people do it, so that's a really great advice.
Exactly. So wonderful. But so yeah. So well, that wraps up episode 2 of the World Wave podcast. We hope you enjoy getting to know us a little bit better, and that our stories resonate with you. Remember, the journey to wealth is unique for everyone. So keep riding the wave with us. And as World Wave podcast, we are eager to feed the mind and challenge the times when it comes to investment philosophies market insights, and real estate strategies. So, with that, please like and subscribe so you won't miss out on our future episodes. Help spread the word by sharing the Word Wave podcast with your friends, family, and fellow enthusiasts. So, with that, thanks a lot for listening to us today. Talk to
Thank
you
you.
later.
Signing off.
Take care. Bye bye.